in 20 years, I had to make all my mistakes myself, right? So everything I think about the changes we made in the 90s and then the 2000s, right? Every change I had to either worked great or it didn't. Alloy has been doing that for 31 years. You've already made, I mean, we're still going to make mistakes. It's still going to happen. But in general, you have gotten like so much of that out of the way.
Rami Odeh, back in the studio. Is it like your fourth time?
This is our fifth.
Is it really?
This is our fifth. Remember we did one back in 2019?
Should we kick Matt out and just let you're in, Matt's out?
Yeah.
You want to do that?
I'm the new Matt.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, brother. Rami's got more to say, and, I don't know.
I got
just
more
got the juice, as we say, in this industry, in the podcast industry, which is a tight-knit group,
It is.
Me, Rogan, a couple of the others, Huberman.
Did we break Rogan's record last time?
We did.
Okay, just making sure.
He does, I think, 11 million downloads per episode, and
Okay.
it was like 11.2, so it wasn't much more, just a little bit more.
Yeah, he's probably not happy.
It still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he texts me, but I'm like, I'm not responding to that shit. Leave me alone. Anyway, did you prepare today? Do you have a did you know?
I have two.
That's not fair. All right, go ahead. Shoot.
All right. So the percentage of people that are obese in the United States is about 80%, right? Everybody knows that.
80%?
Overweight or obese.
I did not know that.
I have three then. That was my first. It wasn't going to be my first.
So not like clinically obese. That would be overweight.
Overweight or obese.
80%.
80%. Scary, right?
They need us.
But did you know that 100 years ago, we were ranked third in the world in height? Now we're 37th. So we're not only getting fatter, we're getting shorter.
Why is that? Do you think it's a blending of cultures, or do you think it's like
nutrition? I think, well, technically we're not getting shorter. We're getting worse in the rankings.
Right. So other people are getting taller faster.
100 years ago, the average American man was 5'7".
Do you think it's because other countries have better, like, I know for a fact, like third world countries all have better access to like water, food than they've ever had. I mean, you would think the world's on fire these days, but we're actually far better off than we say that we are.
We are.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that we are 37th now in the world. Isn't that scary?
So we're short
fat
and wide.
Short. Yeah. So somebody should start like a fitness concept that could help that.
If only.
If
right?
only.
That's
okay,
a great idea.
One more that I got on the way up.
Yeah,
okay. So do you know what the debt ceiling, do you know what our national debt is as of today?
Well, no, we're trying to raise it, but I can't put a number on it.
Yeah, 34 trillion.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. How many
good idea.
we were trying to figure out how many zeros that is. Like
a lot.
A billion's 9. But the did you know is how much is that per person that we owe in taxes if we had to settle that debt right now per household?
More than we have, but how much?
$240,000 per household for every person in the
do
United
that.
States. Yeah.
Let's just all get together and do it.
$250,000.
You know,
How
to piggyback
frightening
on your
is that?
did you know, and I don't know the exact percentage, but there is a large percentage of our population that could not withstand an unexpected bill of $400 or more.
Yep.
That would sink them.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's amazing. So how do you think they would do with a $240,000 bill, right?
I don't know.
How frightening is that?
Yeah, I know. That's a
So
whole
now
rabbit
you don't
hole
need
there.
a did you know because I did 3. I'm always trying to outdo you, so I think I just did.
Whatever. Those are all the same thing. It's like you just made one thing into 3. That's cheating. Anyway, so my did you know is, did you know that in 4 states in the U.S., you can now have your driver's license in your iPhone wallet, and one of those states is Georgia. You're welcome.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't
have a
to
picture of mine because I constantly forget mine. And
No,
I use
but you
that.
can now have it officially in your wallet. So if you go to so I'll tell you what the states are.
So like
for
a credit
anybody
card,
listening.
but in your wallet.
Yep. So mine's in here, and you'll see
Okay.
it right here. So you see that,
Yeah.
Georgia. If I hit this, right, it's going to bring up all of my license information.
Wow. And I didn't know your middle name was Dale. So there we go. That's another did you know. That's 5.
Ricky Dale.
Ricky Dale.
So
That's
you hit
pretty
the
cool.
plus button here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to your wallet, you hit the plus button. There is an option for that, and it's Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, and Maryland. Those 4 states, you are allowed to have your picture ID or your wallet or your driver's license in your wallet. So
That's
it's legal, and you
amazing.
can use it at TSA and everything else.
I think it's great that we wanted this podcast to be 30 minutes and our did you know was like 19 minutes long. So I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have 5 minutes to
Right
talk about what
before
we're actually going to
Rick
talk
says,
about.
I want this to be 30 minutes. I'm like, it's never going to happen.
Long form podcasts are all the rage, so we'll go with that. So, what we are going to talk about today, and Rami has personal experience with this, as do I, but I haven't been on that side of it like he has, which is owning a private business, and in this case, owning a private fitness facility versus a franchise. Advantages, disadvantages. So, I mean, they're mostly going to be advantages. So let's go from there.
Right.
So I've got 7 bullet points. We don't have to necessarily go through those, but we can. So number 1 that I have as a benefit would be established brand and reputation. So again, people benefit by getting involved with a known brand. Now, we're relatively new. We do have over 100 people worldwide that have alloy tattoos, so I think that's pretty cool. But relatively new brand. But do you have anything to add to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's interesting because we are new. We were not at McDonald's or whatever. Like, not everybody knows it. But, having my old gym, which, of course, I made up the name. Nobody knew who I was. We just, as you did 30 years ago or whatever. And that difference of coming to market and, even now I'm seeing it like, how many do we have open now?
20, close to 20. We've got, I think we're opening like 5 or 6 a month now.
Yeah.
Pace,
and even so we only have, so let's say only, right? Like we
Right.
only have that much and literally people know the name already. And that is, that brand recognition is just, it's incredible, right? And it really does make a difference. And I think, it's only going to get better. That's the beauty.
Well,
of
that's the
this.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
When you look at, like, we sold 115.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you and I have talked about this, but we invested in a really advanced mapping software. So we have all the MSAs for the whole United States. At the time we finished that, we were at like 110 sold. We still had runway. And these are like white spaced, perfect areas for alloy. Not even taking into consideration that when you have a big liberal search area, which we give you, owners may choose to squeeze more locations into those areas, which they probably could.
Right. We just talked about this. We want to do 2 in Brookhaven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of runway for that. But let's just say you only put 1 there, just with perfect areas for search areas, not just dropping a pin in the map. There's a runway for like 830 more. So I'd put us at like 950 in the lower 48 alone.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah. So big bad
so
runway.
that's just
so branding's going to get much
it's going to get way, way better. And that's a no-brainer. Right? That was an easy question. That was like my
sorry.
did you know.
Sorry. That
it's
was
you started easy
too
with me.
easy. Too easy.
Easy man.
Number 2, buying into a proven business model.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing because, as you know, and a lot of people might not know, I'm selling alloys now, right? So I'm an independent sales rep. What do we call me? Broker, consultant? What sounds better?
More like consultant, because really, when you look at what a consultant does, is you look at someone who, you think they would be a good candidate for alloy, right? Meaning like, okay, they're maybe interested in fitness. They could hire and lead good people. They're looking for an investment strategy. Most of them are looking for absentee ownership, which means you're not going to work in the business, right? Yeah. And so you're really just pairing, if you will, you're consulting with them and pairing them to what you think is a good.
I like consultant way better. Let's change that.
Like every time, like I've got a good friend, Kim Daly, who you've met. She's hilarious. And she's like number 1 person in the number 1 organization of all franchise consultants. And I'll text her often and be like, hey, how's my favorite broker? Because that word makes her cringe.
Oh, really?
Because that just means you're brokering a deal, but you're really not.
Yeah.
You're really talking to someone, trying to get a good personality fit and then matching them to a good investment opportunity.
Yeah, it's 100%.
And you know us, you know them, and you take knowledge of both. And if you think it works, you pair the two together, right?
I lean it more towards my coaching than I do to selling. It's literally coaching somebody through the process.
Yeah.
And are
so
you good?
Consultants
and are you
much
not?
better, or coach even would be a good word for it.
So I think about that. So, when I'm talking to somebody about this, I use the example of running my gym for 20 years versus what it's like now. And I'm like, let's look at it this way. In 20 years, I had to make all my mistakes myself, right? So everything I think about the changes we made in the 90s and then the 2000s, right? Every change I had to either worked great or it didn't. Alloy has been doing that for 31 years. You've already made, we're still going to make mistakes. It's still going to happen. But in general, you have gotten like so much of that out of the way. And then you're handing that to somebody,
right?
Instead of them, like when we bring people in and they want to buy a mom and pop gym, and I'm like, oh no, oh God, no.
Well, and I think people that don't know about franchising would say, well, why don't you just open your own gym?
Yeah,
like they would look at a guy like you with all this experience. You're really smart. You know everything about the business. You've done it before.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just go open some of your own gyms? You're like, you just remember what it was like to have to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember talking to you because you were one of those rare birds that found a spot immediately, got it. You were open within 6 months, and that was with a pre-sale, right?
Yeah.
And so you were like, holy smokes. Like after that was over, you're like, I would never do it any other way now.
No.
based on what I've learned before. And I mean, you've done it all. Like for you guys listening, Rami bought a property, subleased it back to himself. I mean, he really has done every phase and stage of business ownership, from owning the building, the dirt. I mean, the whole deal. So he knows it all, and still was able to be like, wow, this is pretty nice.
Yeah. On Wednesday's validation call, there was somebody on there who owned a gym, and we talked exactly about that. Right. And the person asked, why would you, like, she still owns a gym, and she's switching to alloy. And I think she's going to convert her gym into an alloy. Right. So, and they were like, why would you do that? And it's like, it's just a no-brainer, right? That difference is unbelievable. So really, that's like the biggest thing. Like, you guys you stress test so much, and I say this all the time. And again, I hate saying stuff that builds your ego.
Go ahead, say it up. Say it up. Rami and I have been friends for 25 years. He hates to say nice things about alloy, about me, but I love it.
I'm going to say it about alloy instead of you. That's better. Just that. But I tell you this all the time, like that ability to pivot, like. And that was my biggest weakness. I was like turning such a big ship. I had 7,000 square feet, and I had 400 members and 17 trainers. Can you imagine? Right at my peak, it was crazy to try to turn that ship. And you would say, you need to do this. And then 6 years later, I'd be like, I'm thinking about it still, Rick. But that ability, even at this size and as we grow, hey, this isn't working. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, we fixed it. Right. Like, that's huge. And I really pray we can continue that.
100%. And there's things that we can talk about offline that we're working on now from a software standpoint. I mean, we're always looking for... You want to use
my likeness on the website?
Yes, but we don't want to grow too fast, so we're holding off, because if we put your 60-year-old bodybuilding pictures on there, it'll blow us up too fast, and that's always a risk.
I don't want that to happen.
Look, I think it's good for people to hear, certainly if franchisees are listening to this, that there's a lot of things in the works right now, but we're not going to bring them to you to the system unless they work.
Yes.
And they're right. And some of them take forever. Yeah. So there's a lot of things in process, like, hey, how about a one app solution? That would be cool, right? It's like, okay, we're working on those things constantly, but they take forever. Right. And we would never even introduce them unless they were perfect. So anyway.
I love that. Well, I'll just jump back to, because I have the nutritional coaching business too. And a client, how many times a day, week, people say, well, what do you think about this new supplement, or what about this diet, or whatever? And I say, great, give me a month to research it, and then give me another 30 days to try it myself, and I'll get back to you.
Yes.
And you do that with me. I'm your tester.
You are.
I'm literally your little, what are they called in the king's court? The people who tested them so they wouldn't poison them.
Food? Yeah.
Yeah, that's me for you. You're like, hey, I'm thinking about trying this stuff. We try for 6 months to see if you die.
But the good thing about you, and maybe this is a great parallel, is like, as an individual, you're always like testing and trying. Always. And so I can just call you and be like, hey, what are you working on right now? And you're like, you're never going to believe this. And it'll be like some nootropic or this or that. And I'm like, I love it. And then let's try it. And then I'll try it after. But similar in business. So we're constantly doing that. We often joke, like, we only have a finite amount of like energy, resources, focus. So we can't put everything, we don't just willy-nilly dive into new things. We'll often say like bullets before cannonballs, which is the theory around Good to Great, where if you have a finite amount of gunpowder and you're getting into an old cannonball, battle with an old ship, it's like, would you pour all your gunpowder in there and hope that you had your range, or would you put a little bit in a musket and keep firing it until you pinged a few off the hull? Then you pour it in there. Yeah. So we're constantly looking for our range, right? Yeah. With lots of different projects. But unless we land on something really solid and can really find our range, we're not going to put our time, money, your attention, your time and money behind it. Yeah. But just know that it's always happening, so that that you guys don't think, hey, we're not trying to evolve. Well, I don't care if it's marketing, imaging, everything is constantly like 3 steps ahead, but sometimes it sucks and we don't want to give it to you guys, right? It's awesome. We're always working on it.
I've already forgotten what the question was, but I think we answered it.
It was a proven business model.
Yeah, so well, makes sense.
That's the story, right? For us, the thing that's compelling is people would see us as an emerging franchise, but the story is we've been in business for 31 years.
That's
and you and I know you were, for those of you guys that haven't heard the other 10 podcasts that Rami's been on, he owned a personal training gym that mirrored ours perfectly. At one point he was kicking our ass, then he went through a change and we were kicking his ass, and he came back, and it's like he went through it up and down, we went through it up and down, and we've been through it together. And
and I was using alloy licensed programming and sales things, and how the meetings were run.
License.
At the end, last 5 years.
So it's not like we approached franchising with one store that was really busy and we thought we had something. It's like, no, worldwide market testing, guys like Rami out there running the business model for years. We had a lot of, it's a unique approach to franchising. So to say a proven business model when you're a couple years into franchising, we're different in that respect. Would
Yeah,
you
I
agree?
get that question from a lot of high-end business guys. Like, well, I looked and it's, it opened in 2019. It's way too new or whatever. And I literally tell that exact same story.
Right.
As the product itself has been through so many iterations and 2,500 people have tested it and all that.
Right.
And so, and like you said, the market doesn't lie. I mean, that's huge.
Right.
We're
And
selling.
so far, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and to go into these new facilities, whether it's yours, your first one, or, just got back from Greenville. I went out and shot videos and whatnot.
I'm not
there.
happy about that. I'm
I
so
know.
happy for him. Like, it's such a weird competitiveness in me. Like, I really am happy that somebody opened full, and I'm so mad that it wasn't me. So you know what's going to happen in the next one.
You'll open full.
He was 132, right?
Yeah, open full, and they only churned out like 2 or 3 people in the first month.
That's amazing.
So like, there's no churn. So their first month full billing will be. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, you can't say it, but
Well, I probably can if it's happened, but it's not in the FTD. But put it this way: if you are in the process and you have our current performa, or you end up in the process, run the metrics on having 130 something people, and his prices are a bit higher.
okay.
So at $350 a month, just figure out what that would look like. That'll be month 1 for this guy. So there you go.
Yeah, I love
All
the
right.
goal.
Next one, the difference between, again, franchising, going at your own, training and support.
Yeah, I mean, that's another no-brainer. So, and I definitely tell this to people who've never run a gym, right? That's massive. But I also tell people that have run a gym that either didn't do well or, or even is doing well, but is not as good as us, right? That the support. And it's funny. I have to be careful when I do the validation calls because I'll say, I always say we get to meet every month, and they're like, "Wait, are they like watching over you and checking your numbers?" I'm like, "Yeah, in a really good way." Like,
of course,
I love your term, fractionalized partnership. Like, It's a partnership, and of course, they want to see how we're doing and they want to help us and all that. And it doesn't feel like, Big Brother looking over you kind of thing, right? That like the training itself, we know it's there. Every franchise probably has that. It's the ongoing that I've been really impressed with. Like that has been great, So again, I hate to say it, but Matt, you're doing great, But his ego is nowhere near like yours.
Rami
so we
is almost like a part of our team at times. He's a good friend of mine, and we've known him forever. So it pains him to say nice things about people that pick on him incessantly. So.
Yeah, well, Matt's actually humble, so I can do that. You and I,
really
not
is.
so much.
Well, the great thing about Matt is, and obviously this is the tone of our entire coaching department. We've got a new FBC on board who's very experienced, but he's also been, very impressed with just Matt's affect and the way he trains. But, we're going to put the onus on you at your business, right? So it's like, come up with your goals. We're going to give you that level 10 meeting structure. We're going to run that so we don't just go off on all these tangents. And it's like, what are your goals? What are you working on? And each, even though we're all in the same business model, like some of you are going to have different strengths and weaknesses. So it's like, all right, for you, what are we shooting for in the next 30 days?
Right.
And then, it's once a week in pre-sale, and then once a month coaching call after that. We have full transparency. So does the investor. So does the operator on all the metrics in the business. And it's like, okay, these are the things, and we can clearly see where we're doing well, where we need some help.
Yes.
We're going to force you to come up with your goals around that, right? Yeah. It's like, all right, you got to own it. It's your business. Like, we can't tell you need to do this. It reminded me when you said that, like, are we like Big Brother watching? Yes, we're watching, but we're just going to reveal to you the obvious things.
I like that.
Here's where you are, and you've got to take that and make decisions, and we're going to guide you, but you got to run your business, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the healthy friction, right?
It's amazing. And that side of it, to be able to go back and, bounce back ideas back and forth like that, or, where are we structuring? And like I said, the initial training is fantastic, but so much of this is probably unit specific, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen in San Francisco versus Dunwoody. I don't know. How is the pricing going to land? Or maybe we need to change this. And so you don't know that until you're up and running.
Right.
So if it was like, okay, it's a Subway, good luck, we'll see you later, have a good time, versus this is our partnership for the next 10 years.
Well, like, we've got
so
a
scary. How many podcasts could we do in 10 years? Oh, let's not even think about it. These poor people.
Well, we have a franchisee who's in like Bethesda, Maryland, and or high end Northern Virginia. It's like some of the most expensive zip codes in the country. And so in those specific markets, like, we did some really detailed research and ran all the comps in his market for him and said, okay, here's where your pricing needs to be. And his knee jerk was like, whoa, that's too expensive. It's like, no, that's our highest tier of pricing. But again, you're in one of the most expensive zip codes, which means your rent factor is going to be higher. So we need to bring that back down with higher prices. But then we showed him all the comps, right? Like, here's what people are charging for personal training in your market. And he was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
This is still a smoking value at that price point. versus what they're charging in your market.
Right.
So
Right.
just to let you guys know, it's like that's the kind of stuff that we're going to do to make sure that it works.
We just talked about how our Sandy Springs location, we're going to have a higher price.
Of course.
You know,
it's
just
getting closer to the
higher.
city. The rent's more
Buckhead's
expensive.
going to be even higher. Yeah,
of course, as it should be.
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
Yep. Cool. All right. So that was number 3.
We're so efficient today.
I know.
Have you had like a lot of nicotine that I gave you last time or something?
Yeah, those nootropic gums you gave me. Yeah, you did give me some of that. I forgot.
I did.
Those made me really nauseous.
DL-phenylalanine. That's the new one I'm working on. So throw that out to the audience.
Yeah, I can't even repeat that.
I know. DLP.
DLP.
If you
That
do it on
sounds like
YouTube.
a dirty
Yep.
acronym. Anyway,
There we go.
don't search that on Google. Marketing and advertising.
Yeah, this is actually the one I talk about the most.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's
Well, I wanna
really
hear
cool.
your take.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the story I tell is, you know me, I love selling. I love marketing. I don't do it. I really, really enjoy it. And I'm fairly good at it. Been doing it for 30 years.
Can I compliment you for a minute?
Oh, you can. Wait,
You
really?
know what? Yes. So we have like, there's techniques and sales strategies, and there's a lot of things that go into sales. And for most people, they need that. But I would say if we zoom out, so we play a lot of your recorded sales calls for training, right? And if we just followed the sheet, first ask this, then ask that, then ask that, it doesn't always follow that. So it's like, it's off script. It's off script. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This person just told Rami that they were on the treadmill next to someone that was really fit, and they looked over at them and felt so bad about themselves that they literally started crying. Do you think you need to then go to the next question immediately and go, so have you ever had a personal trainer?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Like, stop right there, dig in. That's where Rami is having a human to human conversation, and you have to listen to what the person's saying. You cannot be thinking about rushing to the next question or following a script if it goes there. If you can just be a decent person and listen to someone and show some empathy, which you have in spades, it's not even sales. It's like sitting down with a trusted advisor that knows a little bit more about you, about something that that somebody needs in their life, and they're very emotional about it. That's where you win every time.
Thank you.
I mean, what was your closing percentage
on 30,
like once you got them on the phone?
On the phone, 85%.
So 35 total.
Overall, 35 to 40%.
Right. And we've got clubs that are following a script who are hitting like 15% at best, right?
Right.
So when I'm talking about like you guys, just I wish we could do I don't even know how to extract what you have. It's like hustle.
I've already told you, but you said you can't afford it. Anyway, moving on.
You'd be locked in a closet for years at a time.
Put Rami in that room and just give him pre-workout and food.
Like solitary. We slide that little window up and slide your food in there and shut it.
Keep closing.
In there. Like a little schmeagle in there or something.
Eagle.
Just a little sales
I just
weasel.
had the worst vision.
Come out of there.
Yeah. But it's so funny. Like somebody asked me, I don't remember where it was, a validation call or whatever. And they were like, well, we listened to your pre-sale. Like, how did you do that? I'm like, it's so simple, guys. How'd you hear about us? Which sets the stage of like, because if it's a referral, it's a completely different conversation than if they saw us on Facebook. And then what made you reach out to us? And then listen. And that sets the stage for the whole call. That's it. That's literally it. But you have to have that ability to walk through that, right? And it's reps. And I wasn't, my first 10 calls, I told you they took like 45 minutes. I'm like, this is not going to work,
Right.
So, but getting back to the question, but thank you for the props.
But
thank you.
It's just, it's hustle, but the hustle is driven because you care about people.
100%.
Period.
100%. And I think that comes across,
It does. Of course. That's how you win.
I told you that story last time where Heather, my wife, listened to a couple of calls and she's like, gosh, you're really nice and empathetic. And I'm like, did you have to say that with so much surprise in the tone of your voice? Like,
shut up. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Get out of here. Give me a sandwich.
Go make me a sandwich. She's going to punch us both right in the face.
She's going to kill me. So, but the marketing side of it. So what I get back to just real quick is that I was so excited because my favorite part of owning a gym was organic marketing. And like I worked at Northside Hospital. I used to tell you, like I literally generated 120. This is way before Facebook.
Before you had the option for digital.
Nothing digital. This was all
I was
organic.
there too. This is what we did.
100% organic. And my record was 120 leads in a month. So what is that? 4 a day that I generated.
Insane.
Just on my own.
Just on hustle.
And I loved it. You know, like it was so fun. And I was like, oh, I'll take a job at Northside Hospital as an exercise physiologist, get paid to get 10 leads for every class I taught over there, like stuff like that. So I couldn't wait to do that right? With our thing. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to get to do my old stuff and lunch and learns and get out in the community. The digital play was so strong, I couldn't leave my house, which is great, right? But I literally, and I'm not, that. And again, we have to do the caveat that we still want you to do organic. Because by the way, I've talked to guys that are not having that experience, right? They're like, oh, I've gone 3 days without a lead. And I'm like, those are 3 days you should have been in the community.
Exactly.
And then when I did have a couple of low days, I got out there and we ran parties and I did, I tell you, I went to that one it was like a keg party in Dunwoody and I got 10 leads, but they were all drunk when I got them. So the next day they're like, who are you?
What?
Why are you calling me? I closed 9 of them. But anyway, moving on,
Oh, perfect. But to your point.
But my point is,
right,
it's so strong.
Well, here's how it works if you win it alone. You remember these days. You engage with a marketing company. They then charge you with going and getting pictures and videos, and they guide you on how to do it. So you got to go create all this content. You give it to them. They are then going to put some ad campaigns together and split test them on your dime until they find a heat signature, and then they'll go from there. The difference here is we say 1, 2, 3, go, and it starts raining leads.
Yes.
Right. So it's like the time to value is immediate. Right?
Unbelievable.
And you need to be ready for that. But to your point, like you don't get that if you go it alone. You just don't. And even though you're already skilled and had all this experience getting out in the community, a lot of people have not. So we are going to role play and we have playbooks for like how to talk to other businesses, what do you say in your tent when people walk up? All that stuff is already done for you. And you go onto the marketing platform and you click pre-sale package and you get your starter pack of all your flyers, your tent skirt, your table, like all that stuff just shows up at your door.
Yeah.
So all
Which
that
took
stuff
me
you have
months. Gym. It was awful. And it showed up. You're like, God, it's purple. That's not my company colors,
So true, man.
Yeah.
And t-shirt. Where do you get t-shirts? Oh, I got to get a graphic for that. And it's
and the other thing, going back to those marketing campaigns, because I was you and I were like we did our sales tracking on. I had a notebook, and then I went to Excel. That was a big deal, right? That's how old you are, and then when the whole digital thing started, like we were crushing it, right? Like I was literally putting, let's say, $5,000 a month into Facebook and getting $20,000 of revenue, like at 4x, sometimes 10x, right? But the thing is, it doesn't work forever, right? That algorithm changes every 7 minutes, or whatever. And that's where our company is on that the whole time. Right? Like all of a sudden I'll see the leads slow down. I don't even have to email KISS. They're like, we're starting a new campaign. It's not performing the way we want it.
Right.
And that's the difference, right? Like I think about stuff we did with another marketing company and it worked great. And then I'm like, all right, let's go all in. And I spent 10 grand in a month and I did not get one client. That was my last marketing campaign before I sold the company. $10,000.
Nuts, man.
I got 540 leads. Right. And they were like people walking in like, I don't know what I clicked on and I spent $500 and I don't know why I'm here.
Right. Yes.
And none of them became clients.
Oof.
Not one. And so anyway, that to me is, there's so much impressive because I'm the sales and marketing guy.
Right.
That's the side that really I was like, wow,
Yeah. And having it done for you already, massively beneficial. Yeah. And I will say again, props to you. It's like, I think your lens on things is also unique because you have perspective. And so, it's funny if someone's new to it and maybe they're working out, the sales. And by the way, and if you guys haven't heard this, we have a hit team of salespeople that can take this on for you. If you've got an operator or if you're an owner like Rami and that's your specialty, do it. He's going to close better than anybody, right? But if you're like, hey, I've got more of a gardener, somebody can take care of people once they're here, but they're phone sales are a different animal, different level of hustle and sales acumen. We're going to teach it to you, but if you're finding that you're not doing it, we've got a team for you. You do have to pay for it, but it's not very expensive, and you can jump in and out whenever you need to.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because I know you tell me, don't help all these people. We have a team for this, but whenever somebody reaches out, I have to help them, and I do it for free. And I love the brand and all that. And there's a guy that's, he's struggling. I think he's at 80 members, which, by the way, guys, he's still profitable. So that's freaking
actually
cool.
just talked to him. He's at 95.
What?
So, but he's making.
Oh, that's because he's been on calls with me. Well, that's exactly why
that's it. Rami saved him.
But my point, what I said to him is, why don't you just hire the hit team for 2 months? Think of what that costs versus your opportunity cost. You spend that time going out in the community. You are now full in 2 months.
Well, guess what our entire call was revolving around? Going out in the community.
You can say you're welcome.
Well, no, but you're right. But like, okay,
but no, I'm kidding.
Buy yourself, and by the way, guys, he's like a single owner operator, so he doesn't have a ton of bandwidth, right? So it's like he's a guy who looked at our franchise early on, maybe was just on the bubble for qualifying, went away, saved up a bunch of money. He's a grinder, came back, it's like, hey, I'm in a good financial situation. We went for it, everything's good, right? But he lives or dies by this one location currently.
Yes.
And of course, he has aspirations for more, but it's like, all right, we have to nail this one. So because digital leads, and this is what everybody should hear, because they're good, and that's a good sign, you're not really forced to go and do the things that you did and that I did before we had digital marketing, which means you never really learn how to do it, right? Because over time, it's like, yeah, digital leads are good, but over time, they will get more expensive and your leads will be less plentiful. It's okay with our model because like you don't need a ton of leads to stay, where you need to be. But if you've never built the skill set and the resiliency of going out in the community, it's going to be tough. So you have to do both. To your point,
it's such
you don't have the bandwidth
to have.
Hire our sales guys. We'll bang the phones for you. Go out and learn to community market. And those seeds that you're planting are good long-term seeds as well. Those are things that pay off 2, 3, 4 years down the road, right? And if you don't have that, A, you haven't developed a skill set. B, you haven't planted those seeds for down the road. And we have playbooks upon playbooks and materials to get out and do it. But to Rami's point, I guess it's a good thing if your digital leads are so strong, you're like, I'm never leaving the house. I'm going to sit here in my underwear and just crush leads,
sitting in my
right?
PJs, texting you going, I just got another 5, So.
Well, and to your credit, though, you were one of the ones, because you're good at it, you were like, man, these leads are amazing, because you've been with shitty marketing companies where the leads are crap, right? Like the one you said, you spent 10 grand and got nothing. I'm hearing from Rami on a daily, he's closing like 10 for 10, 9 for 10. He went like 22 for 22 or something was his record in a row. And he's like, these leads are amazing. But when you have the lens of these leads are amazing, each call that you take, your tonality is different, your conviction's different. That's where you are mentally. Does that make sense?
Remember in our pre-sale podcast, I said my one really bad day was I just stopped getting on the phone because my mind had shifted. Right. I did like 4 in a row when I didn't close. It had never happened. Right. And it was 100% me. It was my state. Didn't sleep well the night before. Wasn't prepared. Like it was my one day that I wasn't on. I shut the phones down, took a nap. Took care of myself, got a great night's sleep, woke up the next day, and that was the day I went 9 for 9 that next day because it was all in here.
Right. So
by the way, the leads were the same.
I was going to say, leads didn't change.
The leads didn't change.
You changed. Yeah. I love it, man.
The marketing, Yeah.
But having it done for you, like believe me, I've done it both ways. Like it sounds really self-serving, but based on us putting all this together and then giving it to people, I'm like, wow, if I was going to do another gym, if I was going to do any other business, I would do a franchise.
And if I was
such a shortcut,
if I was somebody like that, like I was a great nurturer, but the sales really intimidated me or whatever, I would actually listen in on that guy. I would to learn because he's not going to be there forever.
Well, all those calls are recorded as well.
Perfect.
And you've
so
got full access to you can listen to those.
Yeah.
Couple more economies of scale, just meaning like, I think the way that we would describe this, I mean, obviously like supply chain stuff. So like, okay, our equipment company's giving you like a 30% discount. Mm-hmm. I think the average, I need to do the math on this. Suzanne keeps challenging me to do this and I just keep forgetting, but the total discount on the stuff that you would have to buy to open a gym, even if it was Rami's gym versus Alloy, is about a 30% average discount. When you average the software, the equipment, all the things, right? The computer stuff, I mean, everything, supplements, all that, it's probably more than the franchise fee. And I will tell you that at least in the initial startup, the only difference between a franchise and doing your own thing is that you pay the franchise fee. Right. If you could save that alone in vendor rebates and savings to get the thing open, in addition to all the shortcuts, it's like, I don't even know how to put a value on like, okay, you get there, 6 months faster. It's like, right. It could be the difference between being open and not.
Yeah. And not even from financial, I mean, obviously the financial standpoint, but I was thinking of like the network we're starting to build. So like one of my ideas I'll throw out now is like, my mastermind group that I'm in is Go Abundance. It's this massive mastermind group, 700 men in it. Well, obviously we have like kind of like North Point Church. We have little pods. We call them Go Pods. Everything has Go in front of it. Gold Abundance is my group because I'm over 60. Gold Abundance. Wow. I don't know if I like that or not.
What about silver? Like
silver sneakers like that.
So you're Gold Abundance?
I'm Gold Abundance.
When do you hit platinum? But, you're going to be like 80?
Yeah. So I've already started this, of course, is that like I would love to have pods of the franchisees. So I have a text group of all the owners in Atlanta now to get together. Like that, to me, that's the economy of the scale that really fascinates me because let's get together once a quarter. Let's go out to dinner. Let's have a Zoom once a week where we bounce ideas off each other because the training is great, but we're in the trenches all day. Matt can't come out every day,
Correct.
So we see him once a month. I mean, we have access to him, right? And we're texting each other and like literally to the point of, this is so cool. Like, Nick is opening, a few miles south of our Sandy Springs location. He got 2 leads that were they're like, oh, you're too far. And he goes, well, we have a location in Dunwoody, and sent the leads to Joy.
Right.
How great is that? And I'll do the same for him.
Right.
And, that's...
Well, we were talking about
cool. I know that's not really financial economies of scale, but that's...
No, I mean, there's already that community is already happening. It's like people are communicating with each other. Even some of our new franchisees, like they'll just get all the names of the people that are in their local market that are coming to market. And they all get together and have breakfast and lunch and plan on local marketing strategies. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, share that. Like Nick went on a podcast and for like kind of all of Atlanta. And he's like, I don't know, I think this can benefit everybody. I'm doing the same thing. So that's the really cool part of it. I had a great story about that too that just happened this week. So, I'm not involved in the day-to-day because I'm a minority owner, but I'm definitely, I'm there to help at all times or whatever. And I start getting texts at 4:30 in the morning, which never happens, right? So Joy's taking like her first vacation in 18 months, right? And of course, the lead trainer gets COVID and doesn't know it till 4 in the morning. Okay. And so there's literally Joy's on vacation. Heather worked the night before. It's closed the gym, right? And she's texting, "What do I do? I don't want infecting clients.
Sure.
I'm sick as a dog." And literally by 7:00, we had everything covered. And Joy was on vacation, reached out to Nick. He offered one of his trainers. I took my director, who's already trained up, who's going to be in Sandy Springs, and he went in and coached. He went and trained with Heather to make sure to know how to open and close. He's already an alloy coach, so he knows everything. And we had everything covered within 2 hours. From the community. Isn't that a cool story?
Yes.
Like,
I had no idea.
No, it just happened. You didn't know what happened.
I saw the post on that, but I didn't understand what was going on there.
I was going to text you at 4 in the morning to see if you can come in and coach.
Oh, I would have definitely done that. Yeah, you know me.
That would have been great. Or like they never asked me, by the way. They were like, yeah, Rami's going to come in and do 100 reps of Tabata with everybody for squats. And that'll be the workout. I'm like, I don't know how to work this technology.
Everybody has a role. Everybody has a role, Rami.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, bro.
No one asked me. It was great.
Yeah,
I'm like, if anybody new comes, give them my number. I'll close them. But
close
other than
them
that,
out. Oh, that's so funny.
Isn't that a cool story? I know that's not economies of scale, but I wanted to share that story.
Well, when you think about we're hosting our first conference in the fall of 2024. And by then we're going to have, we've got our ranking system set up. So we'll have like clubs ranked. We'll have like multi-unit owners who can go into their groups. We'll have an FAC, which is a franchise advisory committee. So probably have like 5 to 10 people that are on that can be, kind of run that community within the franchisees and communicate back to us. Then the key points, right? And kind of be the liaison between the Z's and us as well. So there's a ton of things coming that will build that community.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Love it. It's
awesome.
Cool. Super fun.
Awesome.
Super
All right.
fun. Yeah, that was a great morning.
Let me see. Flexibility and autonomy. I don't think we need to talk about that one unless you have something. I mean, the way I would describe this, and I did steal this from our friend Kim that I was talking about earlier, the best way I've heard it described is you're in business, and to your point, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I think that's, that is one of the questions that typically previous gym owners ask, right? So when I do the validation calls, they're like, well, what about this? And what about that? And, and even like my director, David in Sandy Springs, he's great and he's so creative. And he ran for about 3 or 4 years, he ran a small, group fitness place, his own place though, mom and pop, right? And he's got great ideas. And I keep saying, these are awesome. Put them on the side. Right. Let's run the gym for a year, right? Let's show we can do it. Let's get 150 members because I want to be number one. This is still my goal. And then let's look at these. Let's vet them, right? And then we go to them, right? But my point is he's like, well, what about when I want to do this? I'm like, look, man, you're still a coach. Like, even though there's the play, this woman comes in, threw her back out the night before. She's not doing the deadlifts that are on there.
Ask anybody that's currently running it how hard they have to coach because to your point, when you hire coaches,
it's not point at the wad on the wall and everybody go do this.
Absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to go into a shift of 4, 5, 6 hours in a row, and you've got 6 people back to back, you need a thing. You need a platform and some bandwidth. You need a structure that sits there. But within that structure, and for you guys that aren't in the franchise yet, we've got a communication tool, which is the app. You're also going to get to know your clients over time. That helps. But you're going to be able to marry the client to the right version of the workout. But that's if everyone was static all the time, and they're not. And people are going to come in and they're like, hey, like Rami's a power level client, which is our word for advanced. He's supposed to do this today.
It's like 3 compliments in one podcast. Are you okay?
It pains me. I'm nauseous.
Do you have a fever?
I'm slightly nauseous already. But Rami comes in and he's like, oh, by the way, I decided at the last minute because he used to ultra run. I went out and did 15 miles with a buddy of mine. I'm dying sore today. My back's sore. It's like, okay, all bets are off.
Yeah, we change.
At that point, you have to know your regressions, know your progressions. As long as you're following the patterns and you're following the play, you'll be fine. But believe me, you have to be a really good coach.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And
like
so that somebody asked me that, like, what do the coaches look like? I'm like, they're not just somebody off the street, like, and they really have to have that personality and a personality for 6 hours straight.
Yes. You got to have a lot of energy.
You got to have a lot of energy, and you really do have to love it. And so, and getting back to like what happened with the COVID thing, another testimonial is here's David, who has never done a shift. He knows the product. He understands alloy. He's been a coach for forever.
Right.
He knows how to coach. He went in, shadowed Heather the night before, right? Learned all the workouts and had an amazing shift the next morning.
What was his feedback afterwards?
Oh, that's exactly what he said. Like,
I still had to coach.
He said that was not easy.
Exactly.
But it was great. Like, it was great, and all the clients were great. And
so then he got it.
Back in the day when that happened, you just closed. Because nobody would come in if their coach wasn't there, right?
100%. Yes.
So it's really, really cool to watch that. So it's fun. It's fun and that's what's really great about me. I'm going to compliment myself now. No, I'm just kidding, but not really.
Matt
kidding.
calls that. We do props at our team meetings.
Self props.
He calls us proper baiting.
Proper baiting.
That's when you prop yourself.
That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. But I'm going to say, and you know this, when I am talking to a new franchisee, I say, or potential franchisee, a Z. It's so much easier to say. That's why it's called Z. Yeah. A Z, a potential Z, I can sit in the seat of your consultant, but I'm also an owner. So I know the day to day, like I use stories like that and they're like, oh, that's so cool, right? Not just going over the pro forma and the numbers and all that.
But it's a real story.
Right.
And
we're getting more and more of them.
Well, I think the reason, and I know that people have beat you up over time for your time because you're so.
I don't know whose fault that is, by the way.
Well, I was about to say, here's my home number. Call me whenever you want because you get all excited. But you're also very transparent, right? You tell it like it is. If you could have done something better on your first go round, you talk about that. If you did something really well, you talk about that. And it shines through. So you're just a trustworthy, straight up guy that shoots straight. And people
sometimes I'm in the middle of it going, should I really be saying this? And then I get such good feedback from it. I'll check in with Clay afterwards, like, was that okay? Like I literally said, like, we had a bad month and we didn't follow the play really well. And this is what happened. And, because I want people to know that, right?
It's so much more believable if you're just honest, right?
And getting back to the difference between my old gym and this, I didn't have anybody to go to when that happened. Right. So that's the whole thing. Like it's funny. If you think about what changed my business from being one of the most successful, we were battling to be the two most successful personal training gyms in Atlanta. Then I fell apart during the recession. To bring that back is because I formed a team. And you think that, and it was this big compared to a franchise, but that's what saved my business. Having mentors, going to a mentor, going to a group of people that kind of checked in on you, having people that I leaned on like you and whatever, like friends, and multiply that by 1,000.
Right.
That's what a franchise is.
And now all the people, because I've owned coaching groups at Coach Studios and owned a fitness education company for a while. It's like, but now when everyone is coached to the same play and we're all behind the same banner and trying to accomplish the same thing, this was one of the things that when we went to franchising, I was most excited about because I'm like, all right now I have these fractionalized, like I have a coaching group for studio owners. I have this fitness education company.
Yeah, you were very
Some of the people we work with are large clubs. I mean, I was all over the place. I'm like, imagine it, but I loved all of that. I love the coaching and leadership, as do you. And I'm like, if I could take all of that energy and all that juice and put it into one channel, one brand with everybody rowing in the same direction, it's going to only get better, man.
Yeah, it's really funny how that, and my career is going that way too, is like, I did not realize how much I absolutely love sales until the last 3 years.
Right. Because
I always hired a salesperson at my gym because I loved going out in the community and doing the marketing.
We never really talked about it because like once you got rolling, I just assumed it was like something that you'd always done. But I guess having known you before, we never really talked about sales. It's just something that you...
And I never did phone sales.
What's weird is you're not...
COVID.
I heard a great statement the other day. I'm rereading an old book, and I can't remember the name of it. If I do, I'll mention it on the next podcast. Something like the Little Red Book of Sales or something like that. But it's like the guy says, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy.
Yes.
So it's like you're not really selling. You're educating, you're listening, you're becoming a trusted advisor around health and fitness, which is something that you're super passionate about with yourself, and you want to see everyone else do well. That's it. That's not sales. Per se.
No. And by the way, I've never taken a sales course in my life. Well, I don't know any of the salesy stuff.
Caring and being passionate.
I just told you my whole shtick for but I think I sold 253 memberships in our first one. Not that I keep track of numbers,
right?
But my whole shtick is:
have you heard about us?
Why
did
what
you
made
call
you pick
today?
up the phone?
And then just go
and
from
just
there.
go and literally let the conversation. It is a coaching session,
right?
Like, can you imagine if I had a script for my coaching?
Well, we always tell people
sense.
if you sat down with your a good friend or someone in your family and they had fitness goals and they told you what their goals were, what would you tell them?
Yeah,
just do that.
Just do that.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then let it lead to things.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we get off on these tangents,
Oh my
but
God.
that's the way we do it.
It's amazing.
The last one is expansion opportunities. And so I think, when we talk to a lot of people like you that have been in fitness, and we've got we're one of the few franchises that have people in the fitness industry that come to us that want to buy franchising. We'll allow that as long as we can write an addendum and put a stake in the ground
within a year
and say,
or whatever.
Yeah, and you're never expanding your personal brand. You're only going all the way from here on. But most of the people that are doing it, because I think you would say, like, if you were successful enough on your own in the fitness business, why would you not just do more of your own brand?
Yeah.
But they all recognize the ability to expand. So they're like, listen, I've got one that's successful, but I know I couldn't take Rami's gym or Rick's gym and do 10 locations. That would be really hard. Mm-hmm. But with the bandwidth and the backing of a franchise, I can do 10. I could see me doing 30 locations, right?
Sure.
Everyone, it's a mature play because then your ego is kind of like, I don't care about creating the thing. I want to take the thing and put my entrepreneurial spirit into hiring people and growing it, right? Like you look at John Farkas out in St. Louis, right? He's going to do 4. It's like, and strange things have happened for him with this sort of expansion idea where, his wife, Alicia, does all of our graphic design work. She owns her own graphics company. She's amazing. And she created for him, a sort of a template for like where they're headed in the future. So if he's like advertising that he's hiring a new director at club number 3, he's able to lay out like what his long range plans are with Alloy. And because he's got a bigger vision, he's like, the level of talent that I'm attracting now with a bigger vision is so much better because people come to him, they can see their vision fitting underneath his vision, right? So when you think about expanding, and then that goes all the way through to, let's say, 7 years down the road, we've got 800 locations open. It's a household name at this point. And you're like, okay, it's run its course. It's peaking for me. I'm going to sell it. Mm-hmm. Like the ability to expand and have multiple locations well run in the contiguous territories is very attractive to other investors. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get a much higher multiple in a franchise structure than you would if it was Rick or Rami's gym. Right. I mean, you sold a gym and you did really well. Yeah. Surprisingly well.
Yeah.
But,
and not even close
more
to
power to you. But you'll get 3 to 4 points better or percentage points better in a franchise structure.
Yeah, right? I got 3.5. So, and I've seen double that or more.
Yeah, 5 or 6 in a franchise. And it depends if they're all killing it and you've got 8 and they're all packed in there together and there's good leadership and you've got a good regional guy in place. I mean, dude, you can get a lot of money for those.
Over that. Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because you think about that, like when my gym was really, really kicking it in like 2015, 16, 2006. Oh my God, I'm so old. I'm so not old. I can't even say that word. We opened another location and it was brutal. And it was small. Like we opened within a physical therapy department. So I was
remember that.
And I'm like, this is perfect. I'll get leads from them. And, so I had a manager over there and I had a manager of mine. And I think I lasted a year with it. And I'm like, and that's when we decided to consolidate and move to a bigger building. Right. So take both locations and move to a bigger building because getting back to what you said, I was just doing way too much. Right. But had it been a franchise, like I'm literally
a little bit of partnership bandwidth.
Yeah. I mean, think about what I'm doing now. So, exciting news. My wife's getting involved. That's super cool. Talk about a testimonial, right?
I was about to say, so for anybody listening, like I think for me, the biggest point of pride is franchisees adding more locations. That's it. So Rami's getting ready for number 2. They secured a lease on a beautiful place. I mean, killed it with that. But anyway, so number 2, you're looking at 3.
Maybe 3 more.
3 more. Okay, so 3 more with Rami. Rami's wife, Heather, is looking to do 2 on her own with an investment group.
That's all the same part.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's convoluted.
Right, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, so, I don't know. But anyway, it's 3 total.
The Odays are taking over.
We're taking over, For you, Nick, we'd have 20 of them. But, but it's... But that's such a testimonial to it. And that's what I'm talking to the partners about is like, first of all, guys, like this is not a sales technique. Trust me, I know how to sell scarcity. This is real. Like we are, the good territories are going to be gone 100%. So let's lock down this, and do it. That's how much I believe in it. But I would never do that if it wasn't a franchise. No way. Yeah. Right. Without that kind of support and all that. And that's what makes me comfortable with it. And the development schedule is helpful. It kind of keeps you kind of grounded that it's not going to be, oh my God, we got to do 10 in 1 year kind of thing. So that really helps.
It's reasonable.
But, but that ability to grow I never even would have thought about it. And I've never seen, I mean, maybe a restaurant, maybe like an Ippolito's in Atlanta, like that, where they got 5, but they ended up shutting down like 4 of them, you know,
Right.
so, or 3 of them or something.
It's really hard, but
Really
it's
hard.
amazing what the power of just that little bit of bandwidth you get for every part of that process for a franchise, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, people like landlords and all the other people that you're involved with love it. Like, you want to go get lending and like, okay, we're an SBA approved franchise. It's like, it's going to help you with that. Your landlord is going to like the fact that you're part of a franchise that's got 115 sold with more coming. It's like all those things help.
Yeah,
right?
going back to the brand awareness, the landlord in Sandy Springs knew us. So
Really?
that was really cool. Yeah,
there
and
you
that's
go.
why we got that freaking great build out. And so we're killing it with that. So, but that, you know, is, like I said, it's only going to get better. And and it's such a cool, like, it's so exciting. I'm so glad that you gave me 51% of the business, man. I so appreciate that.
Oh my
for
God.
long
Did you guys
term.
hear that? I didn't even know that happened. I must have, he got me drunk and had me sign something away. Every time I ask Rami for something or he does something great, he always mentions that he just needs 51% of our
That's
business.
all I need.
That's all he needs. I appreciate that it's not more.
And I'm right. I don't
Could
want
be
any more than
75.
51.
Could be
yeah,
75.
I'm being really nice, man.
I just want
And
controlling
by the way, I
interest.
never offer any money for it either. No,
just for being
me.
a good dude.
Just me.
It's
Look,
me,
I'm
bro.
wearing
Give
your
it
stuff.
to me. I'm willing to do your job.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's we could talk forever, but hey, thanks for coming back on. I think we should do maybe a regular like monthly spot or something if
Be
you're
great.
up for it. We can
You
just pick
think
a topic.
you and I could think of something to talk about? I don't know. We
Yeah.
might run out of stuff. That is probably the funniest thing that my wife says to me is like, wait, you guys do a whole podcast, then you go hiking? Don't you run out of things to talk about? I'm like, that's hilarious.
No,
Like-
we'd have to hike the Appalachian Trail to finish our conversations all in one shot. Yeah, because this is just business stuff, and then we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Rami's going to tell me how he's reversing the aging process, so I can't wait to hear about that.
Awesome, man.
All right, brother. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming on.
Yep, it's
Peace.
awesome. Peace.